Hi guys, you're very welcome back to another podcast on our channel NarcCon. And this is part two of the different ways in how a narcissist will treat you post discard. So that's after dumping you in a relationship, or even if you've dumped the narcissist or let the narcissist go. So we've covered in the first podcast when the narcissist remains in your face post the discard, and I will try and link that podcast to this one. This particular part of the little mini series is when a narcissist ghosts you and blocks you and effectively disappears from the face of your earth. They do not want any information getting to you about where they're going and what they're doing. They certainly do not want to communicate with you. It is as if you no longer exist to them. So I'm going to get into, first of all, what that particular treatment post-discard feels like, why we actually want to contact the narcissist when, you've been dumped, particularly in an intimate relationship. But the behaviour pattern is transferable to all situations, workplace, familial, friendships, everything. It's just the narcissist's way of operating. And so many people will say, in comments on the stories and the podcasts and the information provided, did you know the person that I was dealing with? And effectively, I didn't know the particular person you were dealing with. I just know how narcissists behave. And they're trapped in a behaviour pattern that has very few variations, because it is all predicated on their need for control and their superiority, in my opinion. So once that actually, with the education, etc., sinks in, and you have a radical acceptance that the person was more than likely a narcissist, because obviously we can't professionally diagnose anybody. And even when they do go for diagnosis, it's often missed. If someone doesn't understand, the therapist doesn't understand the true nature of narcissism. So let's get into this. And at the end of the podcast, I have a kind of amusing anecdote just in relation to something that happened in the comments this morning. Usually I'll answer the comments as just after breakfast. That's just my little routine for the day. So anyway, I'll get into that at that stage. So what does it feel like to be just ghosted and blocked by a narcissist? Sometimes they can actually, I'm talking about like a fairly long-term relationship. You can have a relationship of 2 or 3 years, 5 or 10 years, whatever length of time, but a serious relationship where you have a lot of commitments, where, everything seems to be okay from time to time. It goes up and it goes down, as all narcissistic relationships do. And this wave of instability, where you have the push and pull going on most of the time. But overall, you've gotten used to a pattern and the relationship is tottering on. And suddenly, the narcissist doesn't come home. Your partner doesn't come home. Would you have had any kind of an argument beforehand? Sometimes not. Sometimes you may have asked for something for yourself, and that would have been enough to have tipped the narcissist over into discarding you. They would have been carrying, in the devaluation, carrying an opinion of you that you changed, you weren't the person that they thought you were, and that would have tipped the iceberg. Or they would use something minor as an excuse to leave you, having been planning to leave you for quite some time and having somebody else possibly lined up. Or you can beat them to the discard in them and their paranoia and their succinct need for control and their radar to pick up when there's any level of change in their partner or in the workplace colleague or their family member or whatever. They are so good at picking this up, and that's why I often think there's a spiritual element to this. I cannot get away or escape from the fact that there's a spiritual element to this. They seem to pick up like in sound waves when there's a change in control situation in a relationship. So if they sense that and their paranoia sets in and they think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to jump first here, or the person is going to jump on me, and we cannot have that. We cannot have somebody leaving a narcissist saying the narcissist is not superior. And, you know, with the narcissist black and white thinking, if you're the one to leave the relationship, you're the winner. It's that basic and that pathetic. So they often jump off the pier first before you get the chance to do so. It feels like the worst pain in the world, as you know. And if you're going through it, please stick with us. It is excruciating. It's a mind mess, putting it politely. It takes a while. It takes a while, and there's different stages of healing. This particular podcast isn't going to get into the exact nature of healing, but I do hope that in understanding if you have been ghosted or blocked by a narcissist, that will supplement healing, because knowledge is very powerful in restructuring your mind after a narcissist has literally climbed into your brain and has put one-way streets signs going up, don't go in that area signs, and change the traffic lights and change the neural pathways. And really all that has to be restructured. It's like a post-war rebuilding of the city in your brain that is you. So I am sorry if you were going through that particular stage of pain, but if you are looking for answers as to why the narcissist isn't talking to you post-discard, why they just didn't come home. They didn't come home one day, and you know, you may have got a text after sending numerous texts. Where are you? Are you okay? What's the story? I'm worried, you know, that kind of thing. And you might get, this isn't working for me, or I'm not coming back, or something to that effect. Or you get a flying monkey contacting you saying, stop contacting the narcissist, you know that it's over, or something to that effect. So it feels absolutely crap. The reasons you may reach out to the narcissist, before we get into the reasons that they actually do this ghosting and blocking of you. You reach out to the narcissist because you don't know what's happened, because there's been no, you know, talking about where the relationship has gone wrong, or at least not extensive talking. You may have asked for compromise, or that the narcissist may give you more time, or that your finances can be sorted out so that there's more equity. You may have been having some type of a discussion like that, but not enough to break a relationship apart per se. So of course you're reaching out to the narcissist. You know, have they fallen over a cliff? Have they had an accident? What's wrong? You know, have they had a mental breakdown? Why aren't they coming back? Why aren't they at least contacting you to say why they're not coming back? Maybe after 5 years they just say it's over, and you're, what? So yes, of course you're contacting them. You're looking for, 1, are they okay? 2, why have they left? And 3, you know, is there anything that can be done to resurrect the relationship? Because at that stage, you don't know that you're dealing with a narcissist. And you come to, you know, your mind is scrambling for reasons as to why this has happened. So, of course, you will be reaching out to contact them. Reasons that narcissists will block and ghost you. I think I have about 13 down here, and I hope they're going to give you some resolution, because I'm guessing that at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or more of these reasons will resonate with you, and I hope it gives you some peace. The first reason they do this is they have no empathy. They totally lack empathy. So to them, that's just what you do. That's what you do to win. That's what you do to go forward. That's life. That's their version of life. So they don't care that they do this. The 2 last reasons are actually the reasons they do it, but all of these are incremental. Number two, that they ghost and block you, is they're extremely emotionally immature. They stopped their personal development at a certain stage and gave over to a make-up friend, a lack of reality, living in a make-believe world where they create a false person that doesn't develop, that just feeds off other people. So they have the emotional maturity of a very young child. So they, in a way, even though I believe that they know exactly what they're doing, to them it's like a total, why would you ask me something like that? It's like asking a 5-year-old a complex question of an emotional nature and asking them to give you an adult answer of an emotional nature of that complexity. It's like, what? The third reason they ghost you is as a punishment, and this is really quite significant. In their black and white thinking and their childlike, in not the good sense, mentality, their great sense of immaturity, to punish you is to avenge themselves or revenge themselves on all they had to do to you, to love bomb you, all the energy they had to put in to get you under control so they could feed off you. They actually resent you for them having to do that. Because of their sense of entitlement, you should have just given them everything, all of your energy, all of your resources, everything they possibly wanted, and they should have just been able to sit there and tell you to do it. They've learnt in life, and this is why they would maybe even describe life as being hard. They learnt at a certain stage that sitting there demanding things didn't work, or didn't work sufficiently, and that they had to contrive to pretend to be a certain person. They had to contrive and manipulate to make the other person feel that they loved them or feel better about themselves, so the other person would put out for them. And that was their maturing, that you or I, or anyone that's in any way normal would have learnt lessons in relation to personal development as we mature and understand that, you know, being mean is not a good thing and being kind works both ways, all those kind of lessons. No, the narcissist learned that they made up a person, became an actor that suited the particular scenario and scene and person they were acting with and towards, and manipulate them to get what they needed instead. So they feel that they have to work very hard for what they get and achieve in life, manipulating people, and they resent that. And instead of resenting the way they live and the way they do things, they resent you for the hard work they had to put into you. So leaving you and ghosting you is like it's a punishment. It's a punishment for being you and for them having to try so hard to get stuff out of you in their mind. To maintain control, first of all, if they have been feeling one of the main reasons narcissists discard, particularly their intimate partner, is when they feel that their control is threatened. And if their control is threatened, their needs are threatened. Their existence is threatened. So they are paranoid, super paranoid about a lack of control in their relationship. So in order to maintain control, they need to withdraw from the relationship. And you may have noticed a lot of mini discards that you thought were the end of the relationship prior to this big discard, where it's been weeks now, days now, and you actually, again, another reason you're reaching out is because this has happened before and they've always come back. So you're kind of, well, maybe they are coming back. And that's another mess up for your mind. So in order to maintain their sense of control and your sense, the sense in the relationship of control, they will do this ghosting and blocking. Also, and this is a horrible part of it, in order for them to regain control at some stage, because at the back of their mind, although this doesn't come to the conscious part of their mind, in my view, it's on what I have always described as the bridge between the subconscious and the conscious with a narcissist. So I would call that the bridge between the true self behind the mask and the outer world. If they can put you in a position of lack where they're the winner and all the good times and all the good feelings associated with them are removed from you, and you're not even worth speaking to, you're not even worth contacting. They do this game of making themselves appear 100% superior, and you are zero. They are so disrespectful in not communicating with you, and so threatening in a way, because as human beings, we need communication to feel safe. In ancient times, when we were all running around in loincloths or whatever, way back in Neolithic times, if we were ostracized from our tribe, if no one spoke to us, it was very likely that we would not survive. And our ancient brain clicks in when someone doesn't communicate with us and ostracizes us, and they have been or made themselves the source of all things to us by isolating us and all the other manipulations they do to literally make us dependent on them in as much as they can without our knowledge of what they're doing. It puts us in a position of fear and lack and an unsafe position, because we don't know, we don't have direction or authority over our own life, because someone is holding what they've taken from us. It's the illusion of this, but it's an illusion we believe in until we don't. The illusion is that they have taken our reason for being and living, and that they've taken all the good times and possibilities of good times, and that they've taken us with them, where in fact they haven't, but they're very good illusionist masters and mistresses. So in your healing, it's really important to understand that what has been created is a total illusion and manipulation of you through your emotions. And you say to me, Paula, that may be an illusion, but this is excruciating, and this is something that I feel is threatening to my very existence. And it's understanding that you understand, and that's the way you feel that, but the reality is different. I'm hoping will bring you to the bridge of the other side. The more repetitiveness you hear this information, the more you repeat this to yourself, the more you get your brain back in order, the faster you will heal. Number 5 is they need to create a false reality. So they need, when they leave you or I, to not have your voice in their ear. They need to reestablish a new reality for themselves. They need to decide that the relationship was really bad for them, that you're a really bad person, and that they need to get into a better situation for themselves. And then they need to go ahead and feel justified and look at creating a new reality. So they don't want any reminders or any messiness going on. They want to a clear cut, as I was told in mine, put a lid on it and move forward with their life, because that's all that's important to them. Number 6, and this is a kind of a segue from the last point, they do not want to be held accountable. That is not going to come into their new situation. You, being very good maybe at communicating or explaining things, asking questions that they have no answer for, is a huge threat to their control. So if you can't contact them they don't have to be accountable for anything that they've done, because their new reality is bringing them into a total lack of accountability, innocence, hero or heroine situation, and you're the bad fellow and you can't speak up for yourself because they've shut you down. Number 7 is, it's actually evil. It's sadistic. It's evil. They get pleasure in their empowerment, in you not being able to contact them. When they press block on their phone, when they minimize your access to them or any information you can get out of them by telling other people in their cohort, no, don't communicate anything. I don't want that person knowing anything, and we'll get into this further down. That gives them a sense of empowerment, which is evil and sadistic. Number 8. If they're tottering on engaging or enmeshing a new supply, and that new supply is looking like they're nearly baked, the new supply has been after them maybe to, look, if you want me, I'm not going to go out with you if you're still in that relationship with that person. So it's make or break here. And the narcissist will come to a point where they think, I'm ready to jump. They do not want you, to a certain extent. There is another scenario that goes along with this, but they don't want you contacting the new supply or giving the new supply the real truth of the matter. They don't want you interfering with the illusion they've created for the new person that you're the baddie and that they're the goodie. It's as simple as that. And they're a poor victim. And the new supply, will you please prove to me that there are still good people in the world? And the new supply stands on her or his head to be the best person possible, putting out way more for the narcissist than you would in a normal relationship, because the narcissist is presenting as the victim of you or I or their past person or relationship. I think it's number 9, guys. Image management. Again, these all segue into each other. Image management would have people believing that they're a good person. There's no other voice coming through if they live far enough away from you, or if they're in a place where your voice can be heard. They need to not be in communication with you to totally invalidate your opinion and to say that the reason you're saying these things is a reason they need to stay away from you. And that comes into the next point, which is number 10. They can maintain that you're a lunatic, that you're a crazy daisy. You're contacting them, looking for reasons, looking for them to come back, basically, is what they'll say. And you may well be looking for them to come back at that stage. You may not know what the heck is going on, even though the narcissist has it all down to a T and worked out very well. The more you contact them, the more you look for information on them, the more crazy you look in respect of the narrative that they've spun for people. And the reason that they can't contact you, when, say, maybe a friend says to them, would you not take her call? Would you not take his call? And they say, look, how many times they've called me. You don't understand what I went through with them. They're an abuser. I can't take their call. They won't stop contacting me. And again, people play into the narrative, the false narrative that they have set up. So it's another reason that they give to their friends and family for them ghosting and blocking you and saying to their friends and family, please don't give this person information on me. They're stalking me, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. And now we're getting to the real reason, real 2 reasons, in my opinion, that narcissists will ghost and block you. All of the reasons before build into these 2 reasons also. It is really important for a narcissist to get the best value for money out of any manipulation or maneuver. So it's not usually only one way a manipulation works, but it works on all sides. So that the person that they're manipulating against, if it either goes left, right, or straight, they still play into the narcissist's trap that they have set up for them in so many ways. Unless you go no contact and have nothing to do with the narcissist and ignore the narcissist, that is the best damage limitation thing you can do in relation to the games they play. Okay, so number 11 is if they don't communicate with you or give you a reason that they left you, particularly in an intimate relationship, that leaves the narrative open for the Hoover. You've never had the closure discussion. You've never found out the real reason the narcissist has left. They've never been held accountable by you because you haven't had access to them. So they can come back in a Hoover 6 months later or a year later and said, I had a breakdown. I needed space. I really love you, but I needed time out. And at that stage, a lot of people, because they don't know about NPD and narcissism, are so grateful to have the narcissist back that they don't say, well, why didn't you tell me that at the time? Or you may say that and the narcissist pulls back and you're, look, it's okay, we'll discuss it and, I understand and you can tell me about it. But that's the narcissist's way in. They're leaving the ground open to use you as an option to go back to you in the relationship and come up with their excuse a year later for why they left you, because they've ghosted you and blocked you and you've never received the reason that they left you. But the reason they left you is because they're a narcissist and they always devalue people and discard them at various stages in the behaviour cycle. Now, the last reason is, I found when I delved into this, and I really, really thought about this, what is the most pertinent reason that a narcissist does this? This particular treatment of you post-discard. And the penny dropped one day. I think I was out walking, and I said, it's because that method works best on you. Because that method works best on you. They're afraid of your ability to pinpoint the truth. For all the other reasons that I've said, they know that as a communicator or as someone who can figure things out or who likes to compromise or is problem solving and solution orientated, that you would of course come up with a solution. You would of course come up with a compromise. And it is so frustrating for you not to be able to make something better or to talk and discuss or to put things right so that people can have peace or you can have peace and they can have peace. Well, if that works best in order to control you and torture you, then that is exactly what they will do. And it's the same in a relationship with a narcissist. Some people can cope with the silent treatment. Other people hate the silent treatment, in relation to narcissist manipulations. Some people don't mind triangulation. Other people, triangulation drives them nuts. So, if this is the best way the narcissist can control you and get to you, then they will ghost and block you. I hope that gives you some peace in relation to why your particular narcissist used this particular treatment of you post-discard. And just to conclude, in relation to the comments, I will give you a little misunderstanding kind of situation that I was obviously would apologize to the person for the fact that they misunderstood, but I was just giggling in relation to you cannot please all of the people all of the time. And my sense of humour got pretty tickled by it. And I learned something new. So there was one particular podcast, and we have the fireplace here in the background, and I think it was autumn or whatever. Well, I had set the fire, but I hadn't lit it. Now, halfway through the podcast, the fire lit itself. Obviously, there was some embers in the fire or something like that, and it had been smouldering, and it just lit up. And the person said in the comments, and I think you've since unsubscribed because of my sense of humour. So what we say here, the person said to me, the fire lit itself in the middle of your podcast. And I commented, like we do in Ireland, we often say things like, well, the devil a bit, or only the devil knows how, or only, something to that effect. And it's incredible how things can get misunderstood. Well, I did put a smiley face or a laughy face after it. The person said in a series of comments, I hope you were joking and this isn't a Christian thing and all this kind of thing. Anyway, the last comment was, are you a Rosicrucian? Have you ever heard of that? So anyway, I had to look this up because when you see a word that you've never seen before, is that a make-up word or is it a real word? Rosicrucian is apparently, and I could have got this wrong, you tell me if you know what it is. It's an ancient form of Christian who's agnostic, but I can't quite figure out how that works. And the other thing is something to do with the occult or, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, they said that I need Jesus and they were going to unsubscribe. And I'm sorry I offended you, but it was an Irish sense of humour and I don't know. Anyway, I've learnt a new word. I'm not one of those, I hope. And that's how the fire lit itself. There was a smouldering ember in it, I guess. Anyway, a little bit of humour goes a long way. Thank you guys for your comments. Your comments are full of knowledge, full of humour sometimes. Lovely comments about Remy and his cavortions on the sofa and things that he gets up to. I hear that little snore there. Please look after yourselves. Try and find, if you're on the stage where you're healing, try and find some humour in your day. Try and not take things too seriously. Try and understand that this is an illusion the narcissist creates for us, and you are still all there. You are still capable of healing, and Godspeed.